This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah, in the current example, we have one of the separate component, courses data table actions. In that, when you click on export, internally we are firing a application event. And in the courses data table, the below component. So it will reach here. So this is the application event while handling. So if the action type is delete, we are deleting. So if it is, let's say, export, maybe we have to write the logic to export the data into CSV. So here I'm taking one more condition, else if the action type is equal to export, equal to export. So the time it enters here, let's say here also I'm going to take the helper. I'll say handle export, and I'm going to define a function in the helper. So here I'm defining one of the function to support exporting, right? Function component and event. Now here we are focusing on writing. Now here main thing what we need to export. So what are the records selected? Only those should be exported. Suppose say if I choose like this, since I have selected 4 records, all those 4 records should be exported. Okay, that's what should happen. Okay, so for that, so to hold the selected rows, so I think whenever we choose the pick list value to hold that, right, courses data table, when you open this, on selection, handle selection, so all the rows I think we are storing into this attribute. Okay, so all we do, so we are going to get this and so try to handle. Okay, so now doing here. So here the selected rows, to get the selected rows, so I'm giving like this. This will get the selected rows. I'm storing in one of the attribute, say rows is equal to. Yes, so that's it. Okay. So now, so what I want to do, let's say if they don't select any row, it's unnecessary to proceed executing the logic. So I'm taking one if condition. If the rows are selected, right? Rows are there, it will enter inside. If nothing is there, so then it go to else part and say show at least, maybe we show a alert message for now. Please select at least one course. Okay, so for now we are going to display this message. If any row is selected, it will enter inside. Here, first what I want to do, to download CSV file, the data should be in the CSV format. What I'm planning to do, I'm going to define one of the function, separate function, to prepare the CSV. I'll say generate CSV data. Here's a function and component and event I'm supplying. So this function should return the CSV data. Okay, for example, let's say CSV. Let's say we are going to generate a string, CSV string, and by default empty. In between, I'm going to write the logic. Okay, to generate. This is what it will return. So what I'll do here, I'm getting that. Generate CSV data at this dot. We have to use this dot and refer the function from one function to other function in the helper when you are calling. Okay. So here we are calling that, and whatever it returns, we handle here. But here we have to focus on writing the logic, how we can generate the CSV string. So for that mainly, so anyway, we have one variable to hold the CSV information. We also need to know in the first row in the CSV string, we have to keep the column labels, the field labels. And also when we iterate over the records, the selected records. So first of all, we should have all the records and columns. Okay. So now for that, so constant rows, we have all those rows here. This I'm getting. And also columns, we should have columns is equal to, I think we have a attribute called columns. All the columns in the columns label and value. I think somewhere we are also hard coding, right? Label and also field name. So I'm also getting that information. Component dot get v dot columns. We have rows, we have columns. Now we need all the labels in one place. Okay, so let's say here labels and API names, we don't really change it. So here labels, but the labels we are going to iterate and generate. We are going to modify this variable. Labels an empty array in the same way. Field API names. Right? Field API names. So this is one array. So I'm taking. So anyway, this is for labels only to make it shorter. Say API names. Here we are going to store the field labels and maybe API names. Okay. I'll say to hold field labels and API names. We have this, and also the column divider. Right, each and every CSV means each and every value should be separated with comma, and after each row there should be one line break. Okay, so to maintain that breaks, right? To maintain the column dividers, maybe column and the line dividers. I'm defining some strings. Constant column divider. Okay, so if you store in one variable, in future instead of comma, if you need some tab or tab space or something, you can easily change that. So here, giving comma, and one more line divider. Line divider. Line divider is a slash, and that is to divide the lines. So for now, we need this. Now, so one more thing. First of all, this rows, if there are no rows selected, it is unnecessary to proceed further. Maybe I'm checking if rows are not there. Return, not rows. That means nothing is there. Return means it will stop executing this function. After this statement, none of the statements will be executed. I'm just keeping that. Now here to get these labels and API names. So somehow, right, we need to. So this is to avoid executing further logic if the rows are not there. And here I'm going to iterate over the columns. I'm taking for loop, iterating. So let I equal to 0, I less than. We have columns. Columns dot length I plus plus. Okay, for each and every column, I'm taking the label and assign. That labels dot. In array, if you want to add the element, we use push. Push columns of I. In that we need label. That label is this one we are calling. Right? Label and field name we want. Label. And also the other one is field name. We also need to add the field name. So here API names, field name. Okay, this is how we need to keep. Okay. So that's it. And now we have all the labels and everything. Now start preparing CSV string by adding heading. So what I'll do, this is an empty string, nothing is there. And inside that, for this, whatever the labels are there, all the labels I want to join. Already I think we use a join function. All labels together I want to form as one string. But while concatenating, I want to keep everything separated with a comma. Right? Comma, or maybe since we are following that the column divider, whatever is there with that. Okay, so technically here comma. And after that, we have to give the one line break, right? To add one more next row. Okay. So here plus equal to line divider, which is nothing but line break, right? To give line break. This is it will prepare the first row. To generate the further rows, we need to iterate over the records, whatever we have rows. I'm taking one loop to iterate over each and every row. Integer I equal to 0. I'm going with the simple thing what we know. Okay, so here rows dot length I plus plus. Sorry, here we have to give length. Okay. So now inside this, for each and every record, so what I want to do, we are going to iterate over each and every field value, each and every field. So all the fields are in the API names, right? So again, so since I'm taking inner loop, I'm taking j less than API names dot length j plus plus. Okay, so what I'll do for each and every row, first row, right? First time if I say row of I, the 0th index record will be there. In that, here I'm supplying which field you want. Again, there are 3 fields. In 0th index, first field will be there, right? So here API names of J is nothing but one field. That field we are supplying into, this is one record. So that the corresponding value we get. Okay, so that value whatever the CSV string is there, for that I'm concatenating plus equal to means concatenating to that. But so maybe first time it is fine, but from second field onwards, when you are adding second field value, we need to keep comma, right? Comma and then add the other one. Okay, add the other field. So for that, what I do, I want to know when this is iterated, is it like a first field or second field? So for that, to know that, I'm defining a counter. Count is equal to, by default, I'm giving 0. So what I'll do before this, before adding, I'll check. Maybe first time it should not enter inside. So count is greater than 0. So first time it won't enter inside. First value it will add. Next time when it is entered, we need to keep comma for this extra. Okay, so plus equal to, so that is a column divider. Add the column divider. Plus after that the value. Again one more field, again comma and that value. And also when we give the data, we have to enclose the values in the double quotes. Okay. So I'm also for this value concatenating the double quotes. Okay, now and also after each line, right? If this iteration completes, that means finally one row is generated. For the next row, we have to give the line break, right? So same thing, this one, I'm adding one line break here. Okay. Now finally, after this entire iteration, you will be having that CSV string. Yeah, that's what I'm returning. So this method will do that. It may be really no need to type line by line. If you search in Google, you will get some solutions. Yeah, from there we can inspire and work. Okay, so just explaining, this is how we need to think. And now after it generated, here we have, let's say after generation, if something went wrong or nothing is there inside this, again I don't want to proceed further, right? If this is not having anything, return, don't execute the further logic. Otherwise, there is a CSV data. Now we need to, right? It should download whenever it. So to download that, to download CSV string in CSV file format. Okay, so we have document, right? All our UI will be there in the DOM, document object model. So DOM means all our UI content will be DOM JavaScript. When you see some images, like DOM structure will be like this. So when you have HTML or UI, so the root element under that, what are the child elements under that? System maintain the DOM like this. Out of this, whatever we want, we get it. Okay, there are some DOM functions available. You can also, with the JavaScript, create some of the HTML or UI tags and embed into the UI. Okay, so I'll say create element. Create element. I want to create the anchor tag. Okay, anchor tag like a hyperlink, and this one I'm storing into I'll say anchor element, storing into this. Now this is one element system internally creates. In that, if you want to set any attributes, so what we do dot href, that is the URL, right? So but if you want to give the URL to generate the CSV file instead of real URL, there is a encoding format. So I think this if you slightly type wrong, we see some problem. So you can search like this: download CSV file in JavaScript. You see some examples, maybe some jQuery, other examples. I think in this website, if there is an example. So to generate the CSV file, okay, somehow we need to use this format: data text CSV. We have to use that. I'm also using the same thing here, and our variable name also CSV is fine. And also, right, blank means without overriding existing window, it will open separately and download. So our element name is this, so blank we are giving, and this is the file name. What is the file name you want to give, and finally automatically it will click through this statement and download. Yeah, I'm also adding those. I'm just copy this, and now finally deploy and see how it is working. Okay, sometimes I might, when we write much code, sometimes we give something wrong also. So we should be ready to debug and understand. Okay, now so far I think it is fine. Let's check whether it is working or not. So are we calling this? So anyway, from here it will call, and all this logic will execute. Let's see. It is also deployed. Okay, now let's go back and just refresh. So next now. So what I want to do, I'm not choosing anything and click on export. Okay. So now I'm expecting, at least since I did like that, I'm expecting this LN, right? But that is not happening. That means something is not working. Okay. So for that, click on inspect, click on console, maybe sources, our JavaScript file name courses data table JS. So here mainly, at least it should call this. So let's see here, it is coming here or not. I'm setting the debug here. Click on export. Okay, now it is okay. It's reaching here. It's good. Selected rows. I think there is a selected row. Nothing, I think. Selected rows. So it is entered here. But we did not select anything. Right? Did I select anything? So I did not select anything, but why it is having selected rows? So that is something. So here in the 0th index, some empty something is there. It is entered, but really nothing is there. So maybe here it might terminate here. That return statement might be executed. Okay, so that means even though we don't assign anything, this selected rows is having something inside this. Handle row selection, but I did not select anything. So it is really not holding undefined or something. So now one more precaution I'm taking. Is it having end rows dot size, sorry, length greater than 0. I'm also checking this and see what will happen. So one time just we need to refresh. Now click on export. I think it is working. Please select at least one course. Okay, so somehow these kind of things we have to keep. So since I did not select anything, this scenario is working. Now next scenario, this one. Yes, I'm choosing this everything and click on export. If everything is fine, we should see downloading that file. But somehow this I did not change. This whatever we are going to download is the courses. So anyway, now I'm downloading. It's correct anyway. We need to, I think somewhere it is going wrong, right? So let's see again. Click the inspect. Go to sources. Click on export. Now generate CSV. Maybe is there something going wrong with that? So why this start generate CSV? Something I'm doing wrong while calling. So here I suppose it to call supply this, right? It's component and event. So not sure why it's pasted that. So that's the one of the problem. Anyway, we are also renaming that file name. Okay, deploy. Go back to refresh. Choosing and export. Now if you see it is exported. Open and see. Okay. Something we are missing. Okay, so admin and everything it is giving in the same column. So that's the problem. Okay, let's see where I am doing wrong. Somewhere slightly when you go to this generate CSV, somehow comma is not coming up. Okay, so here I'm keeping the counter. I need to increment the count inside this. Okay, then only. Now what will happen? It will never become. Every time it is 0 only. This divider comma it is not adding anywhere, and we are seeing the problem. Okay, so now here we are missing this. Okay, it's very common when we deal with the complex scenarios. So we do something like this. Now let's go back. Now test it. Choosing this and export. Now let's see. Okay, now it is giving in a proper way. So this is what we are expecting. So this is a scenario how we deal with the export. Okay, now we know about how we export and all these things. So this is to cover all different concepts, right? I think already okay, cancel those things. Already we worked on that. Now starting to beginning, how exactly it is working. So we are hard coding few things. So we have to remove those things and continue. So first component for us is home component is demo registration. So this is a demo registration component. So when we are on the first screen, for now we are showing that multi-select list. By default, we are showing dual list. We don't want to show. For our demo, to make it easy, we are making as true. This is one thing. So now after saving only, it is going to show. So that is one thing. And also, did we hard code anything here? No. So here to this courses selection from here, whatever the record ID, I think here, are we maintaining any record ID attribute? We don't have. So what should happen after saving? Record ID will be generated. So we should have one attribute to hold the record ID. Okay. So I'm defining one of the attribute to hold the record ID. So maybe, so here to hold the registration record ID after saving the form. I'm defining an attribute record ID. Okay, so into this, so what we do after saving? Somewhere I think here click on save. On the screen, you might be having save and next, this one. Click on this, we are calling save. So go to that save function. Controller, save, I think handle save. So I think we need to go to the helper, handle save, and here when we say handle save, so validate is validating the form, and if everything is there, it is going to save. Right, it is going to save, and after saving, in the response, I think we are also getting the ID because of success scenario. We are showing the estimate. Set the record ID, which is needed to supply for other screens, right? Other components. So I believe we are returning the record ID. Here we are setting v dot record ID, comma. If you open that method, you will get to know. Okay, now I'm opening this class, and somewhere here, if you see record ID, we are supplying. I think we are good. Okay, when you go here, so whatever in the output map, the record ID is added. Same thing, and here dot record ID. Okay. Now in the controller, so here on save, but when we click on OK, I think that is in the pop-up. So save and next. Okay. Anyway, I think we are good here. Now let's save it. And also before doing that, the record ID will be finally in this attribute. This one we need to supply into this one, courses selection in that multi-select pick list. Okay, into that we are supplying this record ID. Okay, so here we are done with our job. So we also need to check in the courses selection, is that record ID, that attribute is defined or not. Okay, so we need to see that. Let me open that component. From here, this component will be displayed. Courses selection. Here record ID is there. I think we are hard coding. Now I don't want to hard code. Anyway, from here, this record ID, we are supplying to this table. Right? This record ID, it will be supplied into the table. The table also based on rows, whatever they choose. When they try to delete, so based on that record ID, it will update this record. Further, from here it will, so maybe send to that one. I think the flow will be correct now without any hard coding things. So let's also deploy this one and test our entire flow. So here I'm filling the form. Okay, I'm clicking on save and next. After saving, we are seeing this, and the estimate fee is also coming up. I think we're good. Now unclick on this. Click on estimate fee. I'm seeing that nothing is happening. Something is wrong. So I think here we did not write the logic. Click on estimate, the pop-up should be displayed. I think that logic we might not be added. So go to that demo registration UI. The demo registration UI. Then you click on, I think, estimate, show estimate. And when you click on this button, we are not doing anything. All we need to do, we need to make this attribute as true, right? So all we need to do, call that, call a function on click c dot show maybe course pop course selection pop-up. Copy this. We need to define that in the helper. Open helper of this. Define a function component comma event. Now all we need to do, making that value as true. This Boolean value, this one. If you make it as true, then the pop-up will be displayed. Component dot set v dot attribute name, and we need to make it as true. So that's it. Okay, this I think somehow we did not implement. Now deploy. We'll go back and just refresh. Okay, I have saved now. I believe I have refreshed it, right? Now click on this. Now the pop-up is displayed. Now I'm choosing all this and click on save and next. Save. Now I want to delete this LWC. Delete. I think it is deleted. Now let's say I want to export this information. Click on export. Export is also working. I think everything is working. Only the pending thing is I also want to show. So what is the total duration instead of calculating manually? What is the total fee? What is the total duration? I want to show somewhere below. Okay, so for that, so I'm going to add some logic. Okay, so maybe to show that, go to the component library. Go to lightning. Anyway, I'm going to use card, and inside the card, I want to use the tile. We have tile, and I want to somehow use this tile. Okay, so now copy this in the demo courses data table. Open courses data table. Control B, courses data table component. Here I'm going to add that below to this table. To show the aggregation of the fee and the duration. I'm adding this. I want to keep this in a card, lightning card. So I'm keeping inside this. Maybe I'm not giving any title, otherwise a summary, title, summary. And the standard icon also we decide. I'll show you where we decide. For now, this is summary purpose. Like this I'm giving, and for now here I'm not giving anything. If you don't give anything, in general we give this. The icon also we can change. If you want to change the icon in the lightning design system, go to lightning design system, icons. If you see, the icon category is a standard, under standard category. Okay, you can choose which is better for the calculation. You can keep that. Do we have anything like a calculator? Let's say I'm giving this budget, and one is maybe total fee, total fee, and the value will be here, and also total duration. I think the value will be here, right? So here I'm going to keep one attribute, v dot total fee. We're going to define one attribute with that name. Also v dot total fee, and also here v dot total duration. V dot total duration. I think I supposed to give this for below one. Okay, what I do? Control Z. Total fee. This is for label. Total duration. Here I supposed to keep that. Okay, so now these attributes we have to define. So let me define those attributes on the top to calculate summary info. we need two variables of type integer. Integer. Let's say default value I'm giving 0. Total fee and total duration. Okay, now this calculation where we need to do, where we are getting all this data, there. I think in the do init. Onload the data will be displayed. So open the do init. I think from do init we are calling handle do init. After getting the data from the server, here we are adding. Here we need to add summary, let's say calculation. We need to calculate here total fee. So let total duration. So this actually we have attributes, right? Component dot get v dot total fee. In the same way, we have v dot total duration. We get both, and we need to increment those things based on the data. Now iterate about this data, whatever we have, these courses. I think to make it simple, I'll define here one variable. Courses is equal to storing into this. Iterating over that, let I is equal to 0, I less than dot length, I plus plus, courses of I. So in that, the duration fee will be in this variable. Duration will be in this variable. First we do duration, total duration plus equal to, especially while concatenating, when we have some JSON, sometimes instead of doing addition, here we are expecting addition, it might do concatenation. To avoid that, make sure that it is considering this one as a number and converting that one as a number. In the same way, total fee plus equal to number of, convert that fee. The fee will be in the fee, right? That field will be in the response. Okay, now we have everything. All we need to do, set back after the calculation, set that value back to that attribute, total fee, and also total duration. That's it. This will take care of that aggregation. So let's see how it is working. Yeah, so I'm saving, click on this, choose this, 7 next. Summary is coming up. But somehow this table, why this table is having gap, and that I need to see. Okay, so that is one thing, and also the icon. Somehow the icon is not working. That also we need to see. But at least these things are working. Let's delete div. After deleting, it is changing the calculation of duration in days. Total duration in days 90, right? Total duration is 90. So why this is showing like this? Let me have to delete. Okay, so I think somewhere we need to reset those values. Yeah, so here we are getting the existing values. Now let's reset to 0. I think that is one thing. And on UI, after the table, why this table is taking that much? So inspect and see. Is there any CSS or something why the table on top of the table something is there that is causing to have more space in between. Moving this table also into inside of this. So now I think it is better. And now let's see the calculation. Now 30, 30, 30, 90, 150 is correct. If I remove this, I have to see only 90. Now I think it is working properly. And somehow the icon standard budget, is it under budget? This media icon is not displayed. Attribute media. When you say like that, it has to display. Okay, let me keep the standard one. Previously, how it was. Groups. Let's stick to the groups and see. Yeah, this is like when you spend some time, we can get it. Now it is coming. Maybe the icon somehow maybe that is not detecting here. But mostly most of the icons will work. Somehow maybe something went wrong. Okay, now so that's the way, right? I think we are good. Just if you give some line break, it will be looking even better. I think we're done with this project. One final touch for this project. Maybe the form, whatever we are seeing, is little big and it is not looking good. So why we design like this? Maybe the demo registration can be used anywhere. Right? Let's say that is referred here. Their style. Right? So let's say here, breaking, lightning, layout. Inside this, I'm taking lightning, layout, item. So size equal to, out of 12 parts, it should occupy only 4 parts. Here, doing like this. Like this. Now, if you see, that based on how you here, now I think it is looking better. And also, you can give some padding. So since I want to make it very quick, I'm giving some line breaks. So now it is looking here. Let's say on top, I also want to keep a logo, like one of the images. So do we have any images, static resources? Static resources. Logo is there. Right? Logo, img src is equal to refer dollar registration dot the name of the resource, I think, right? So dollar registration dot, we have to give namespace. Static resources. So this is our batch already. So what is this image?
Shinu, don't we give resource.logo?
Sorry. Sorry. Yeah.
Registration.logo.
So resource dot logo. Okay, maybe I want to show this center. Right, something like this. Maybe you can give. So like this somehow, right? They can style it however they want. So that's it. So this is the one, right? So we're done with this, and we are going to work with one more project. It is looking like this here. Yeah. So looks like these are very simple, but if you see when you work, how many scenarios we need to cover. Even while working, when you estimate, we need to think all these kind of things. So mostly what happens when we start working newly, we think it can be done in 2 days. But in reality, there will be many scenarios. We need to see all the things and finally estimate. That's what we have to do. Okay, so that's it. So one of the next project, maybe I can give as assignment, but since I did not explain few things, it's better to explain. So the next project is, it is very common asking a data table having the actions at row level. So when we click on those icons, let's say one pop-up should display and provide the option to modify the row, whatever we are displaying on the UI. So maybe something like this with icons. And when you maybe click on that edit, so it should open something like this. They can save. That is one kind of feature. And also they should be able to delete. And also pagination is one of the very common. Okay, I think I did not explain about pagination. So those features we cover as part of this example. Looks like this is also very simple, but there will be some scenarios. Okay, maybe it takes 2, maybe worst case 3 sessions it will take to complete this. Okay, so after this, maybe we'll have few days break to see the JavaScript, maybe 4 or 5 days, whatever you want. And after watching the videos, I'll continue those JavaScript, whatever I explained. So maybe that was not completed, whatever I explained. Once you watch those videos, the next topic, whatever is there, from there I'll explain. Maybe we discuss for 1 week, and after that we start with the LWs. So that is the plan. So any questions or anything before ending today?
Shinu, can you please explain a difference between event dot get source versus event dot get param?
Yeah, event dot get source is to, so let's say there are multiple buttons here, right? If you have multiple buttons, let's say I clicked on this button. Okay, this is a lightning component button. That's a lightning button. When I click on any standard component, lightning button, lightning icon, those kind of things, to know about the element information on which you click. Let's say on click you are calling a function.
Okay.
Now this information of this button will be available in the event which we use inside the function. This will hold that element information. When you say event.get source, which element we clicked, that information will be available in the event.get source. Okay. That is that one. Get param means due to some events. Okay. Due to some of the standard events. So through event, if some of the value is supplied into this component, that time we use event.get param and catch it. Now if you see here, whatever we are reading is, this is coming from one of the application event which we are firing from the courses data table actions. There is one more component in that. Whenever you click on a button, if you see, we are firing a event and supplying the parameter with this name, right?
Okay.
Through some events, application event, through some standard events, if some parameters are so while we are handling that, if you want to read the parameters, so we use this. Okay. Now if you see, this is a handler function for this event. Right? While querying event, whatever parameter they supplied, we are catching here by using event.getParam.
Okay. So the action type attribute is supplied by the event itself, the application type event, which we are getting over here.
Have some standard events.
Okay.
So some of the standard events and application event, when those things are supplied, while handling, we use getParam. Okay.
So if the event was of component type, even then we would have used the same statement.
Same thing. Now if you see, this event is supplied from the other component called sources data table actions, right? courses, data table actions. From here only we are firing them.
Okay.
So here, this is again courses data table. Courses data table actions. When you open this, here we register, right? So this is a custom component only, right? Our custom component. So from here I'm firing. Here we are setting parameters here, right? Set params, action type, and we are getting that here. The parameter we are getting. So it can be also due to some standard components. For example, if you see event.get param selected rows, right? From where this function is called, if you see from the data table is a standard component, right? So in data table there is an attribute on selection, right? Internally it's like a callback variable. So whenever you select any value in that table, right, that time this function is called, and here in the documentation, right, they are supplying a parameter with this name selected rows. Okay, these kind of things by reading documentation we should know. Internally that table is supplying the parameter with this name. We need to get with this name. It's like that.
Yes. Understood. Thank you, friend.
Yeah. So any other questions? You know, right, sometimes we also need to use event.target instead of event.get source. Okay.
Yes.
So when we do that, so when we are dealing with the HTML element, that time instead of event.get source, we have to use event.target. Yeah.
I saw somewhere supplied blank value in the event.target or something. Was that different?
I think if you go back and see our previous examples, already I explained about event.target and get source. Okay. So event.target will be blank when you deal with a standard component. If you see lightning colon button is a standard component. This time you cannot have that information in the event.target. For sure it will be in the event.get source. Okay. Instead of this, if you use a normal button, okay, so that time when you click on this, the information will be holded in the event.target. So I think in our initial examples already I explained about that. Just
yeah, I remember.
Okay. Yeah. So okay, I think yeah, we continue tomorrow with that other project, and